Ahoy there, crew! This is your captain speaking, and today I'll be taking some fruits and turning them into magical girls. But first, we'll need to figure out how exactly these fruits even turn into magical girls, like, what's the logic behind it? Well, it all started with a little old man. He loved gardening and made the fruits he grew in his garden into the most delicious jams. He often sold some of these jams at a local market. That's where he met a young woman. She seemed odd, otherworldly even, but he still helped her run some errands. As thanks, she handed him a small bag of what she claimed to be a very effective fertilizer. He was hesitant, but still used it. After all, what's the worst that could happen? Well, you can probably guess what happened next. He accidentally grew some human-shaped fruits. But now it's finally time to start working on our little family portrait of sorts. Who are these magical girls, and why are they magical girls? Well, in essence, they're the old man's helpers. They're there to help him with tasks around the house, mostly relating to his gardening and jam making. But when a horde of oversized pests appear in the surrounding area, they're the best way to get rid of them. This is what they're fighting against. The old man is happy to let them do so. He doesn't want nature or other people's gardens suffering after all. He treats all three of them with great kindness. To others, it looks like any other father with his children. But this dad also needs a name, so let's call him Edgar. Now you'll see that I didn't actually make a design for him. I'll explain why a bit later when I get to one of the other characters. The first of the old man's helpers is the peach. So she'll obviously be the eldest of the group. She definitely has the attitude for it. She's kind and gentle, much like a mother. She dotes on Edgar as well as the other fruit girls once they awaken. She can, however, be a bit pushy if the other girls don't do as she says. She gets a little irritated. She tries her best to keep herself grounded though, but she does still act a little desperate or snap sometimes. In the end, she has a good heart. We'll call her Momo. It means peach in Japanese and is just too cute of a name to pass up. Now, Momo spends most of her time at home in the kitchen or around the house, helping Edgar out. I loosely based all of the girls' designs on a chef's uniform, mostly just keeping the collar and button layout. All of them also have a magic wand or staff in typical magical girl fashion. Momo's is the longest and has a pair of leaves and a peach pit at the top. I figured giving her a long staff would be good since she is the oldest. It shows that bit of seniority. I did debate on making her the leader of the group, but I think another one of the girls would do much better. I gave our girl Momo a loose ponytail, in typical anime mom fashion. I also gave her some long, messy bangs. I feel like it makes her look a little more ditzy, which is cute. Each of the girls got their own symbol, just as an element for me to repeat throughout their design and to show a bit of personality. Momo got a heart to hint at her loving nature. It also works because if you look at a peach kinda oddly, they are kind of heart-shaped. I repeated this heart shape in her hair clip, her hip accessory, and her buttons. The buttons are something you'll see I did for each of the girls. But here is our sweet peach, Momo. She came out looking really light and gentle. I think she looks very cute. Next up, we'll be taking a look at the fig. She'll be the more serious of the group. Because of her demeanor, she makes a much better strategist than the rest. She often spends some time planning things out before they go out, or does the last-second plans when they run into some trouble. Even if they're out of combat, she enjoys setting up the group's daily schedules. Of course, she works closely with Momo when she does. Other than a diligent planner, she can be quite cold and distant, or at least she tries to be. She does loosen up a bit when the youngest fruit girl is around. It brings out a gentler side to her. We'll call this fig girl Idra. It means fig tree, so it is quite fitting. I gave her an asymmetrical bob. It was the best thing I could think of showing off her shape, the crescent moon. I just feel like the moon shape does a good job of hinting at her slightly dual nature. The shape is of course on her buttons, but also on her hip where she has a bow. I was going to put it in her magic wand, but didn't end up doing that. Idra's wearing shorts since they're obviously more practical than a short skirt. She even has some pockets, which the other girls don't have. Her magic wand is almost scepter-like, even if the topper was meant to mimic the shape of a fig. It's much more neat and regal than the other girls' wands. So it's a good way to allude to the fact that I would consider her to be the true leader of the group. Momo would be the face, while Idra is the brains. I gave her some red beaded details to allude at the inside of Fig. Looking at it, it kind of reminds me of Ace from One Piece. And she was also supposed to be a pomegranate originally, which it probably makes more sense for. Even then, it's a nice little nod at what she could have been and what she ended up being. Here she is, though. Idra is definitely my favorite of the group. She's very pretty and I love the red beads. And finally, we'll be taking a look at the fruit that gave me the most trouble, the blueberry. I definitely want her to have that vibe of being the youngest. She's sweet and bubbly and maybe even a little bit explosive. Fig takes really good care of her though, even when her mood gets a little out of control. She enjoys cuddling up with the others. Momo really likes this. She has a passion for sweet things, and oddly enough, she's been eating spoonfuls of jam to taste test. That sounds a bit scary now that I think about it, so let's just say she stays away from any berry jams, and then we can just ignore it and move on. I'll name this blueberry girl Bay. It can of course be a word name for bay, but it also means berry. Now, Bay's shape is a star. That is an obvious choice for her being bright and bubbly, but it was originally because the bottom of a blueberry sort of has a star shape to it with a little bit sticking out. I repeated the shape in her hair clip, her magic wand, and of course her buttons. Bay's design is the most on the nose of the group. Maybe that's why I struggled so much with her. I really liked her sketch, but when it came to drawing the line art, I felt like I just couldn't draw. At first I thought it was the infamous art block, or maybe even just burnout, but closing her file and opening up one of the other girls, I drew their line art just fine. So I left her for the next day. She ate up so much of my time, so I didn't get around to designing Edgar. He was last on my list though. But I even scrapped my first line art attempt of Bay, but still think she came out just okay. I don't know, maybe it's just because she left a sour taste in my mouth. When it comes down to her design, she is just a giant blueberry. Everything is blueberry shaped or has the frilly bit a blueberry has. I think it's cute, but it may be a bit much for some of you. Even in her color scheme, her skin is a little green to hint at the inside of the berry. Here is our final girl, Bay. She's cute, but I love her and I hate her at the same time. Here are our girls, Momo the peach, Idra the fig, and Bay the blueberry. Let me know which one is your favorite down in the comments. But that's all for today, crew. Be sure to like and subscribe so I can see you again for our next voyage. Bye bye!